This is Christy, and you are following my journey through weight loss and sticking to routines, even though I have ADHD and plenty of other excuses to fail. So, we have been just bouncing back, and it's like our third bounce back, and I've been sampling and trying out this bracelet, which I know works, but I've been trying to figure out how to let it like flow so that it really just doesn't feel like too much of a diet. It's just so much of a mental game that you're playing with yourself, and this is really just to track you so that you know you're not going bonkers and you know that you're either eating too much or the right amount or too little. So just to recap, this is our dietary regulating bracelet. It has 22 beads. Each bead represents a fullness point, not calories. And so when we eat a regular meal, we try to eat to like a 5 out of 10, like half and half usually. So this bracelet gives you 3 meals that are 5 beads each, and as you eat them, you would take your little clippy clip bead and you track it so that you know during the day I had a meal. And then let's say you have a snack. Now your average snack, we're giving you 3 points and 2 snacks per day. So 6 beads per day just for snacking around on. And we're just assuming that that's like a 3 out of 10. And so if let's say I had a snack, or like I give myself 3 points for a protein shake too. And I would just keep bumping along, and it wouldn't matter if I ate to an 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10. I can just kind of track and make sure that I am sticking on my weight loss points kind of all day long. It's sort of like points. It's just a really easy way for me to track my regulation without being so obsessed with it. And also, a lot of times when you're counting calories, you're really just estimating anyway. You're getting your closest bet. And I like to use our natural intuition. So what we're trying to do is actually train our brains to go from not having a very good intuition when it comes to food to having really great intuition when it comes to food. The ultimate goal of the bracelet project is to actually take the bracelet off and just be able to eat intuitively, listen to my body, follow the signals, and still maintain the same weight. But we are way early in this. We don't know if that's going to happen yet. So if you've been following along, 2 episodes ago, we've been trying to kind of break some negative mental cycles, and we started with the attitude of gratitude, which is always a great place to start anytime you're feeling a little down or in the doldrums or like you need some motivation to keep going. I always like to start with some gratitude points and just like looking around, being grateful for the effort that I've put in so far, being grateful for the environment that I have where I can try again, you know, just being grateful in general for my friends and my family and people who surround me and love me, and my body for being able to maintain itself enough for me to be able to go on and carry on despite the fact that I've had all these illnesses and injuries since I was like 19 years old, and even younger than that if you want to count my spine. You know, despite all of that, my body is still this amazing machine that digests food and moves and allows me to function every single day. So that was our first step. Our second step was, oh gracious, what was it? Let me go through my notes really fast. ADHD. My second one was adjusting how we seek happiness, because we know that happiness is more of a fleeting engagement. You run into happiness, you know, you might be able to take steps to become happier, but we can't guarantee that things are always going to go our way or that we're always going to find things that are making us happy. And so we chase satisfaction. When we chase satisfaction, we're actually building confidence in ourselves. We're building structure in ourselves. And that kind of can lead us to places where we find more instances of happiness. But since we're chasing satisfaction, it just changes the overall goal. We can't always be happy about things that are outside of our control. We can always be satisfied with ourselves and the way that we maintained, the way that we behaved, the way that we kept up working ourselves through, and we can with enough grace and social graces that we also require and need. So the third and final thing, honestly, when it comes to sort of getting into that mental preparedness to keep going, to like make sure that you're definitely going to make it, especially if you're in the doldrums of any kind. And ADHD, man, I'll just say, you know, if you've been trying at something and you fail a couple times, there is this massive urge to just give up. But what I like to do, and this is a little bit controversial, I listen to a little bit of Jordan Peterson. I consider him an intellectual who I disagree with vehemently a lot of times, but I think he's worth listening to about a lot of things as well. And frankly, I'm always up for a debate with an intellectual, so I enjoy listening to him. However, he was talking about making life goals, and it sort of mirrors what I talk about too. You need to just fall in love with your vision of where you're heading, and as well as that, you need to fall in love with the plan that you have in order to really accomplish it. So we've got all this gratitude, you know, we've got this satisfaction in ourselves, but now we need to actually fall in love with the process and fall in love with where we're going. And so when we look at what we're doing during the day, our motivation isn't because I need to stay under my points, because I need to stay under my points. That takes us in the wrong direction. The bracelet's supposed to be used as a marker, not necessarily as the motivation itself. You know, the motivation needs to come internally from us, and then the bracelet just lets us know how we're doing, sort of, so that we can do better the next day, adjust our methods as necessary. And I really just spent a lot of time just doing that today, just kind of visualizing, you know, the results and the type of, you know, the clothes I'll be able to wear, and the way that my body will look. That's a massive motivator for me. You know, I'm still young enough where I can still pull it all together, and even growing into old age, it'd be nice to be like super functionally mobile and able to, you know, sit up and stand up and not be bedridden and stuff like that. I think all of those things are just really, really important goals to set for yourself as you get older. And I just spent a lot of time just making sure that I was like fully falling in love with it. It's like that job. They say, do what you love and the money will follow. You know, if you fall in love with your weight loss plan, then your weight loss plan will become your weight loss, you know. And we just want to make sure that we stick to those ideals. I really feel like because I've been following along that path, just this last day, I really honestly had a great time sticking to my points. I felt like it was easier to stick to my points. I felt like I was able to hold accountability, and it wasn't like I was like, oh no, I'm a scarcity, running out of points for the day, oh I better. It was more just like a joyful act where I was just like, oh my goodness, this is so much fun, I'm doing great, am I hungry? No, I'm doing fine, I'm going to save my points till later. And it just turned my entire mood around. And I just, like, I felt the scale reflected immediately. It, like, broke and turned right back around. We were still, obviously, doing our walks and everything, but not, like, an extraordinary amount. What really happened was my mental state took a nice little 180 and went right back onto the track where it needed to be. Because sometimes it's not so much the physical that throws us off. I mean, yeah, maybe it's initially the physical that throws us off, but what ends up happening, what keeps us down, what keeps us from succeeding is our mental state that defeats itself before we can ever succeed. And that's just such a nightmare that we just stress out while we're spiraling. And like, you know, like if we could scream louder we would, but would anybody listen, you know? So, but when we fall in love with the work that we do, with the efforts that we give, it becomes effortless, it becomes natural, it just becomes us, who we are. And eventually we forget that we ever had a problem because we're not really focusing on where we're falling short. We're not really focusing on where we failed. What we're focusing on is our dream, our vision, our goals. We are working on our satisfaction. We are following our gratitude, and we are so in love with what we are up to. So I just repeated myself 1,000 times, but ADHD, and I think that was a good recap anyway. So cheers to you. I hope you're taking care of yourself very, 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 very well. I did that a little out of order, and I hope you have a great week. Cheers.